conversation openly.
Okay. We have more than 1 hour for discussion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I am sorry, but I need to leave 10 minutes before 5. It is possible.
Before 5 London time?
Your
Yes, okay.
well, because I am now in a meeting and I have allocated this time to this session.
Okay.
But at 5 I have another activity.
Okay, no
Thank
problem.
you.
No problem. No problem. Okay, we'll start. I'm very glad to be among you today. And also, this is our fifth webinars of the ASCO International Webinars. This is the first series. The second series will be focused on radiation oncology, radiomolecular radiotherapy with and combined with immunotherapy of cancer, because this is new track, and it could be expensive and it could be very cost effective if according to how we do. So the same for systemic cancer drugs, and as we discussed with Professor Eduardo Gazab just since a few minutes, that we are not speaking about the cost of a drug per se, but about the total cost of care. So less hospitalization, less cycles, less avoiding of toxicities, and many other approaches as that we showed in the first webinar, and it is available for all. And we continue here today in the fifth webinar. We will give ample time, more than 1 hour, for discussion and for your feedback, because your feedback is the most important thing. It is not my initiative, it's not an initiative of Professor Eduardo Gazab and Professor Eduardo David Kerr and Carol Sikora, but it is our initiative all together. And we count on the because I am old man, we count on the younger generation to continue and to raise the flag. Now we start with the welcome note of Professor Robinson, the president of this series, who is a immediate past president of ASCO, and we are very thankful to ASCO, really.
Greetings from Niles, Michigan. I'm Robin Zahn, President of the American Society of Clinical Oncology. Today, I am pleased to welcome you to the second installment of the ASCO GOIS webinar series. As an international organization, ASCO is proud to have over 50,000 members in more than 170 countries. Given our own commitment to global impact, it is only natural that ASCO would find such an ideal partner in SEMCO. Since its founding in 2002, the South and Eastern Mediterranean College of Oncology, or SEMCO, has been an impressive champion of professional development and education for both oncology professionals and the public across not only the Mediterranean, but the world. SEMCO has served the global oncology community as a facilitator of collaboration and cooperation between regional and international organizations and societies, including ASCO. This year, it is our great pleasure to partner with SEMCO on the ASCO Global Oncology Implementing Science, or GOIS, webinar series, a complement of virtual education sessions designed to inform cancer care professionals of hot topics in global oncology and explore the scientific and patient-centered approaches to finding and validating accessible and affordable therapies. The goals of this series will be met through a variety of short presentations and panel discussions with international experts during each session. The first webinar in the series, Improving Access to Global Oncology Care Through Repurposing, was a great success, prompting new and interesting discussions on the idea of repurposing oncology medications. Today's webinar will address the myriad issues surrounding implementation of the science of global oncology. We hope that you will find the presentations informative and the panel discussions engaging. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Ahmad El-Zawawi for his hard work and dedication to this webinar series. Dr. El-Zawawi is, among many things, the co-founder and co-president of SEMCO, chair of the Win-Win Initiative, and president and founder of iStock. I and all of us at ASCO thank all those involved in the creation and implementation of this wonderful and very important series. We look forward to future sessions and the discussions as they advance. Thank you and enjoy this webinar.
Hello, I am glad to be among you today. Is the 5th ASCO GOIS International Webinar. This is the last webinar in this series. The next series will start on September. This will be mainly about radiation oncology, radiomolecular radiotherapy, and combined with immunotherapy. In the same context, the same concept of how to lower the cost of cancer care treatment without compromising the outcome, and how to increase affordability of better value cancer care in the world via scientific approaches, via exploration of new tests or studies, and using the many existed examples that we cited, and with references all. We didn't invent anything. Today, we continue what we started in the first webinar, and at the end, I'll ask you to revise together some items for the included in the evaluation forms, because there will have two evaluation forms for the colleagues who would like to apply for certificate of first series ASCO GOIS Game Changing in Oncology. And they have time till September to reply the other forms. There are forms of each series, of each session, and there is a form for the whole 5 series, and including the survey at the end of this session. Okay, let's start. A big game changer in global oncology, 5th webinars, example of scientific exploration of scientific example of scientific exploration for resource saving, better value cancer drug systemic therapy. I am Ahmed Zawawi. As I will introduce myself before. As you know me. We know each other. Most of us know each other now. But we because for the new colleagues, and I ask you all to forward these messages, forward this program, forward this initiative to all your network and colleagues. Welcome all. I have no disclosure of conflicts. I don't take fees for my lecture or financial support from any. I am aligned only to what could be beneficial to millions of patients with cancer, regardless who they are or where they are. President of the whole series, as you know, we have the honors, the Professor Robinson as co-president to 2024-2025. The chair of the series, Professor David Keir, Professor Eduardo Gazap, Professor Ian Tannock, Professor Catherine Van Loon, Professor Enric Soto. I'm the director of the program of GOIS. GOIS Global Oncology Implementing Science is part of also Global Oncology University. GOIS is the first program, free of charge program, virtual, professional education, focus only on how to increase scientific affordability, how to increase affordability of better value cancer care via scientific exploration and brainstorming ideas. Really, this is the first professional focus only on that. And in collaboration, we are collaborating with many. And in this program, we this is endorsed by ASCO. Thanks for them, really. And now we distinguished board panelists, very distinguished colleagues. All your feedback is considered. Despite of conference organization declaration on hundreds of publications, the gap in affordability of cancer care is increasing in the world in rich and to much more tragic degrees in low median income countries. Health systems would not cope with the skyrocketing rise in the total cost that do not commensurate with the increase of patient-centered outcome and affordability of better value cancer care. In the Win-Win International Initiative, we advocate that the lowering the total cost of increase the better value of better value cancer care could be improved with smart and scientific approaches. All will win. We are not offending any industry, all the stakeholders, and including patient, cancer care professional, community, science, government, health industry will win. Even the business of health and industry will flourish. Otherwise, the system will collapse. Think about this. No rivalries. We advocate collaboration with all. Once again, we see the question. Is it scientifically feasible to lower remarkably the total cost of cancer care without compromising the outcome? This is very important. Without compromising the outcome on patient, we stress on that. It is yes, yes, yes. This is the item of the fifth webinar. And above here in this slide, we link to outline to the fourth and fifth webinars, where you will find the link. The slides is available on demand for all who like. Pharmacogenomic study and value-based treatment. In fact, once again, not every exciting scientific finding can be translated into the same expected clinical value in short and the long-term clinical research and trials. It's not like that on reality. Specifically, pharmacogenomic and radiogenomic are among the possible reasons why the protocols and treatment guidelines produced by renowned organizations and society do not necessarily yield the same responses, outcome, or patient-centered value in different communities and ethnicities. Hence, the different guidelines should not be copied by different communities without adaptation and without considering different local factors and their value in scientific and realistic ways. Most genetic studies only use white participants. These most genetic studies. Genetic and pharmacogenomic studies may lead to better customization treatment in order to achieve better outcomes. This would avoid waste of expensive treatments that yield smaller or insignificant response in different ethnicities and communities with different disease presentations. If treatment pathway point to another approach for lowering the cost, if treatment pathways point to two potential therapies that are largely equivalent in efficacy and toxicity, yet the two drugs are vary enormously in cost, pathway programs that consider the cost as a factor would ultimately point to the less expensive drug. Higher spending does not mean a higher economic return. For example, real-world data from 2004 to 2015 in the United States, Japan achieved those close to 7 times as much in return of health gain in dollars spent on the cancer drugs as the United States. So it is conducted in the United States and in Japan, but in Japan, as you see, achieved close to 7 times as much as return in the United States. Physicians should, wherever possible, adhere to pathways that are less likely to prescribe expensive and other supportive care drugs, which are no less costly in the absence of the strong evidence to validate their use. We don't say we don't do, but nobody is authorized to say this. But it is only in the absence of strong evidence to validate their use. A study in the USA shows that out of the chemotherapy patient in 10 major cancer diagnosis who were identified as dying in patient setting, 24% received chemotherapy within 14 days of death, and 51% received chemotherapy within 30 days of death. But frankly, it is a difficult decision. We, doctors, may ask themselves, we ask ourselves, whom am I to decide? While we remember the time honor saying of Hippocrates, first do no harm. Patients in general do not like to hear no cancer treatment. At the same time, there are many paradoxes here. No harm. Patients don't like something. Whom am I to decide? But we say that palliative and supportive care should be always considered along the way in combination of different lines of treatment. But value-based reduction in overall therapy. But let us think together about incentives that in the cost of overall therapy that could be about incentive that could be provided, financial, scientific, career support, etc., to encourage and cancer care profession in order to avoid overtreatment and to be on the side of more sensible approaches such as palliative and supportive care that may include evidence-based, better value palliative chemotherapy. Less toxic pathway. Unfortunately, it has been reported that 58% of potentially fatal adverse events are not listed in the initial USA FDA. You imagine this. Drug label, and 38% are not reported in any published randomized study, and this is a reference. You imagine this. Another reference here stated that the voice of patient is missing in drug safety reporting. There are interesting references here. One of the most common reasons that patients require hospitalization during treatment is adverse effect and complication used by the agent. Less toxic on pathway regime can result in fewer or less severe adverse reactions, therefore reducing the number of unplanned hospital visits and accordingly costs. Counterfeit medicine is worth, you imagine this, $200 billion and cause 1 million deaths annually in the world. This is the MIST global campaign fighting against counterfeit drugs. According to World Health Organization, the International Criminal Police, Interpol organization, and the United Nations and all, and Office on Drugs and Crime, I don't know how they report all this, but where is the action? Where is the effective action? Still, over 1 million people die annually from counterfeit medicine. This is the MIST fight, the MIST campaign. Such medicine have serious impact on population health, including treatment failure, toxicity, and contribution to antimicrobial resistance. medicine counterfeiting is worth $200 billion annually. And we speak about waste, about resources, about medicine and counterfeiting is now one of the most lucrative counterfeiting business segment in the world. $1,000 investment is upward of 400,000. 1,000 gives $400,000. The value volume ratio of fake medicine is higher than for many illegal drugs even. Are there proposed solutions? Yes, there are many. One of the proposed solutions is to develop a device that can rapidly determine the quality of the medicine. And we give example here. This is one of the example. Determined sort of a nanoscanner to enable rapid drug quality checking by drug regulators. And you have a link here to a presentation to my lecture in this part. Control of utilization of drug as primary strategy, and this repairing the system. And final notes. Here is the last points. We give here example of in USA case of rich country for control of utilization of drugs. For instance, in 2007, Medicare narrowed the coverage of erythropoiesis stimulating agents for cancer treatment, and the result that it was a save or would reduce annual sales of the company from approximately 1 billion to 200 million only among Medicare patients. This is regulation. Control of the utilization of drug as primary strategy, continue. In the win-win, surely our goal is not at all against the sale of drugs per se or its price, but we are for saving the whole system and benefiting all dimension of cancer care in the world. Otherwise, it will collapse. The strategy of controlling utilization of drug by whatever mechanism in each country would assure a more reasonable and justified utilization of drug or services. The well-known widespread local corruption in many countries, which goes by many names, such as commissions, under many names, that commission, percentage, or reward of conference or dinner, some money for vacation, or reward by any kind. These abuse the resources of countries, or cash money in the low middle income countries even. An abuse of resources of countries and individuals, patients and families, without a cost-effective for a measured outcome for patients. This finally could lead to increasing difficulty in the market of those countries at the front of at the forefront of newer product or innovation in cancer diagnosis and treatment. Hence, in the win-win, we clearly support transparent, scientific, and value-based measures. However, their implementation and global success need all key players to coordinate in a global campaign that consider the condition in the real world. It needs a lot of intelligence, a lot of smart approaches, a lot of realism also, because expectation of what will be after. Futuristic approach. Also, the pharmaceutical response to intervention pharmaceutical studies, choosing wisely initiative, campaign, and other important initiatives that like common sense oncology, and there still there are many nice initiatives, and there should be some sort of cooperation, more cooperation. There are still legal and regulatory actions that discourage, unfortunately, interventional pharmacological pharmacoeconomic studies. With the reduction, for example, we pose the question, do all of you, or all readers and all stakeholders imagine that the leftover of cancer drugs in vials that go to waste cost around $3 billion annually in the United States? This for some drugs only. the cost is much higher than this. You imagine. It is sad to see that what has been published by many authors of way and approach to reduce the waste and unjustified costs. There are many proposals to reduce this waste. It is not destiny. But who listen? An ASCO report sadly stated that sadly, that among nearly 40% of cancer patients in the United States, the first cause of fear of cancer is skyrocketing cost and their burden to them and family, hence the abundant science-based professional oncology care. It comes before the fear of death and pain in the United States, the fear of cost and bankruptcy and ruining the economy of the family. Hence, we can imagine how it will be aggravated in how less if in low middle less in this affluent countries in the forthcoming years. To be realistic in the real world, there is no doubt about the essential role of industry in creating process and innovation of cancer diagnosis and treatment. The win-win notion implies that all will gain, including manufacturers. But systems can't cope going forward like this for decades. Repairing the compensation system used for oncologists. Here we are realistic. As a first huge example, the United States, but it is applied in different ways, and the same notion in all countries. It should be repaired in different parts of the world. As we deal with the real world, the notion of the win-win movement considers an incentive and interest of all stakeholders. It is vital to explore the issue from the oncology perspective as well. Medical oncology is cognitive specialty without many of the associated procedures that provide a financial boost. To be clear, many private medical oncologists in the USA depend on incentive of the drug prescription and for radiation oncology gained from the number of sessions and the technique and with reimbursement. This must be repaired so the oncologist has to be correctly remunerated for their services while avoiding ethical conflicts. The second proposal is to adopt clinical pathway in which fees of a practice are paid for disease management and not based on price of prescribed chemotherapy. This is to change from fee for services toward a system of bundled payment. Remuneration of for the act of oncology involves the payment of one fee for all the service of caring for cancer patient. This is not far from pays à l'acte, this term in French is you see a case of Hodgkin lymphoma, for example, you prescribe drug or not, you manage, but and you take a service as consultant, a senior consultant, or a resident, or whatever, for this case, with it needs science and need work and need everything, and not for what you prescribe. No benefit from what you prescribe. Even if you prescribe nothing until you say you are okay, go on, it's just follow up. This is act, this is medical act. So remuneration for the act of oncology. It may be an audacious idea or layering idea. However, innovative solution particularly need to be generated when we face a complicated problem with economic complexity. Think about this. There are many scientific examples of reduction of cost without sacrificing efficacy. We should advocate for more studies, professional educational program, and this is very important. Educational program, not the stereotype program that's available for all. We need a lecture in a treatment of luminal A, breast. These are many. You repeat. These are many in the internet, in university, institute, and everything. But needed burning need for professional education like this one, focus on that goal. How to increase affordability of better value cancer care, how you can manage, how you improve the care in your area via science, We recommend that to be trend in the real world in professional cancer education. What do you think? Final note, as we said in the introduction, in some part of our program, we emphasize that we don't claim that we present the whole wisdom or the final solutions for challenges. But the objective is to be as a caller for our colleague and key players to contribute in a global movement in which all would gain and win. We don't claim any credit. All colleagues, stakeholders are invited for sending feedback, suggestions, and welcome all. The win-win movement and this GOIS program belong to all. Once again, it's possible to increase the affordability of better value cancer care. Yes, yes, yes. I didn't invent anything. It belongs to all. And with many reference, many author, many distinguished faculty. Welcome all and thank you all. Please, if you have any inquiry, please send to us. It is your initiative. Stop sharing, yes. Okay. I tell you bye-bye for the moment from the Port Said in the Mediterranean Sea, the shore of Mediterranean Sea, and other side is the Suez Canal, and this the last part of Africa, and the other side of Suez Canal, the other part of the city, which is in Asia. Bye-bye. Well, this lecture summarizes a part which is continue the fourth webinar, which contain also tens of examples. It is yours. We didn't invent anything, as we say. And despite the low number of live audience, but every one of you, particularly the chairs and dear colleagues, all can spread the message to more than 100 societies because it is needed. You are the leaders. I give now the before providing before presenting the slides of the discussion, and I hope that all of you give us your comments now and after also, and send to your colleagues, because to publish even from that, if you like to publish a point yourself, or to develop or to write to add to it, it is open, it is yours. Now I give for short introduction for the discussion first for Professor Eduardo Gazab, Professor David Kerr, Professor Kiro Sikora, and then we will hear from all of you, and particularly from the chairs and all of you during the discussion. Professor Eduardo Gazab, please introduce, open the discussion. I have slides and six points.
No. Thank you, Professor Ahmed. I would like to complement your fantastic introduction with some points that I believe are important to define the cost of treatments and all the options that you have mentioned from a global and regional perspective. It is important to mention that the cost, we don't know the cost of the cancer drugs. We know the price in general. The cost is generally unknown, and this is very clear for vaccines, in which you can very, very simple remember the evolution of the cost of the vaccines along the years, and they start usually in hundreds of dollars and ends in cents. So the price is unknown, but we are not talking, I think, from a patient perspective only. We are not talking from an academic perspective only. We are talking about a global perspective that has, from a public policy viewpoint and results of cancer care different visions. Let's analyze, for example, the situation of the US, in which the general idea is that the cost of the treatments is very high and the expenses from people and governments are high. The results are not so good. When you analyze survival of cancer and curability in the UK or in Canada are much higher than in the US. So this is not only a problem of money, this is also a problem of efficiency, and this is a problem on how resources are properly allocated. Let's analyze, and I think that this was done previously, with not only the schedule of administration of the drugs, but also with the timely administration. If you are using a drug later in the planning, when the system is providing the medication, but it is at a late moment in the treatment, the drugs are not efficient. When you are using doses of drugs that in many occasions are approved by the organizations and the officials at a very initial dose, later on, during the treatments, doctors and the medical community realizes that many doses are too high. And it is not necessary to really use very high doses to receive the same result. Was clear with also with vaccine. The HPV vaccine started with 3 doses 15 years ago, then 2 doses, and now the application, the use in public policy is only 1 dose. The world, we were spending incredible amounts of money in unnecessary treatments, unnecessary indications. So the problem, and we were discussing this in several instances, these topics are not included in the organizations, academic groups, medical societies. Usually they have a strong focus on gold standards, but they are quite reluctant to evaluate cheaper or more affordable options. We need to analyze that from a global perspective, efficiency, a reduction of costs, proper allocation of resources, proper doses, timely allocation of the treatments are fundamental in order to lower the cost and keep exactly the same results and even with less toxicity. So why these organizations are not putting the necessary efforts to present these issues? I think that the current model of cancer care and health in general is not working anymore. We need to define a new model, more affordable, realistic, and feasible. Obviously, that this must be framed in the context of existing resources and socioeconomic characteristics. But let's analyze the results of health in general in the last 15 years. When you analyze the world, since 2011, that was the last United Nations high-level meeting in chronic diseases, all diseases, cardiovascular, cancer, pulmonary diseases, diabetes, and obesity are worse. The world has today an explosive incidence of chronic diseases. And now, in September, in a few months from now, the world will analyze again the same problem 15 years later without any practical solution, only documents. So it is imperative to move our efforts towards a new model that should be considering not only the best treatment, will not be only focused in patients, should be focused in keep the population healthy. So the old concept of prevention today is replaced by the new concept of healthy people and lifestyle medicine. So I think that from a global public policy perspective, all the comments and suggestions and proposals and information that we have must be implemented as soon as possible. And these elements are only today applied to 15% of the world population. The rest of the world population, about 6 billion people, are not applying the current strategies to improve health and diminish the costs. So thank you very much for your participation. I think that is imperative to focus the discussion in how we can make pressure, put pressure over governments and civil society to implement all the measures that we know to improve health and keep the economic healthy of the governments and healthcare systems. Thank you. Dear Ahmed, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I agree with you completely, but we stress always that before addressing civil societies and governments, we should address our cancer societies and guidelines who followed by oncology practice. All cancer society, ASCO, ESTRO, ESMO, European Society of Surgical Oncology, and all. We address ourselves and address our guidelines. If we see today that 50% of the potential fatal side effects is not cited in the FDA documents and the label of drugs, and not even in journals, big journals, all big journals about clinical trials, then me as a doctor, what you can expect from me if I don't know these side effects and I treat patient with side effects that I don't know this due to treatment, and patient in addition to the harms, unacceptable harm, we also add cost of hospitalization and treatment by different doctors who don't know, because we don't know this potentially fatal side effect. Simply, it is crazy. It is not acceptable that potential fatal side effect not presented in guidelines, in NCC guidelines, in ASCO guidelines, in stratified resources, and a list of many things. And as you told me before we start that about in international conferences, these things is not discussed even. Discuss the new approach that give magic response for cancer, and it costs 3-4 times the income of a family in California, for example, and speak about it. And so what happening in lower middle income country is crazy and tragic. And after that we say best of ASCO, best of ESMO. Enough. This is our role as doctor.
Professor El Sawawi, the problem that we are discussing is out of the hands of the medical community. The decisions are taken at another level. This is one point. So, and the second point is that we are working about guidelines. We are working during the last 2 years with NCCN, you know, the National Comprehensive Cancer Network, that is perhaps the support of guidelines that are most widely used in the world. And after 2 years, about adapting guidelines for Latin America, our discussion finishes that it was not necessary to change. The guidelines exist, and in most countries of the world, guidelines are very good. The problems are, one, If the doctors apply properly the guidelines, and the estimation, we don't have the numbers yet, but the estimation is that less than 20% of the doctors follow guidelines. And if the doctor follows the guideline, the patient is in compliance with the guideline during the healthcare system life. No, I think that at the end of the day, perhaps less than 5% of the patients in the world complies with doctor with guidelines and patients with a follow-up of the guideline. So I think that the problems are the compliance of doctors with guidelines and not the guidelines itself, and the compliance of healthcare system providing the necessary resources with the guidelines.
Thank you for this very high level of discussion. I'll start with presenting point in the slides, and I would like to after to hear the introduction and comments from Professor David Kerr, from Professor Kero Sikora, from Professor Giano, and from Rose, and from many colleagues here. I'll present the first slide, and I ask Professor David Kerr to give his very high-level advice and contribution.
Thanks, Amit. While we're waiting for this slide, I mean, let me just thank Eduardo again. Amit does have a habit of attracting the very highest level of friends and colleagues to speak at these meetings. And one of the things that some of our younger colleagues will realize, that those of us who are senior on this call, all of us started life as encouraging medical radiation oncologists, deeply involved in research, moving new ideas forward, understanding the biology of the disease, applying it to new treatments. But as we become older, wiser, one might ask, then we are adopting more of a wider public health stance that I thought was perfectly described by Eduardo, who has done so much both nationally and internationally to raise the profile of global oncology in the wider spectrum of cancer control and move away from the rather narrower spectrum of how we deliver treatment. Are absolutely important for those of us gathered around this table, but only a small part of the story. And when we talk about re-engineering health systems at a wider level, of course, we need in-country support from the Department of Health, from the Finance Department, education, transport. We need joined up government to deliver the sorts of change that Eduardo was pointing at. Absolutely fascinating. On guidelines, when I was president of ESMO, like Eduardo, we had many discussions about our guidelines committee about how we might respond to Amit's challenge of saying, can we develop guidelines for resource-limited countries? And what I found very interesting at that time, and this is 15 years ago, was that my colleagues who came from those countries at that time said that they felt that the guidelines should be an expression of the perfect and not be dumbed down. I'm using their terminology. And even once or twice, genuinely, it was accused of being a form of racism, as if we would have two-tier cancer support that was designed according to not ethnicity, of course, but income. That wasn't the aim at all. It was exactly as Eduardo said, trying to fit the relevant cancer treatment guidelines delivery to the healthcare system in which our brothers and sisters work and operate to look after the community of cancer patients that they treat. So the guidelines thing is very interesting. And listening to Eduardo, in the same way that we turn to WHO, Carol Sikora may comment on this later, given his earlier position there. When we look at the WHO Essential Cancer Medicines list, I wondered if we could work, Amit, Eduardo, and Carol, with WHO in a way to publish, to validate, to authenticate some of the ideas that we've discussed during this webinar series, in which we have evidence-based we have an evidence base for introducing, or at least suggesting, ways in which our cancer treatment delivery could be modified logically to reduce costs. And perhaps the stamp of WHO might be a way of validating that within not only health ministries, but with the clinicians with whom we work and within their health ministries. So rather than going to the professional societies, and I agree with Eduardo, we've been banging our heads against a wall there to some extent. It may be that finding a way through WHO might be a way of getting a message out there rather than through the professional societies. But again, just wanting to thank Eduardo, just as always, for words of wisdom. And again, to thank him for the extraordinary work that he's done nationally and internationally. So is there anything else you wanted me to say, Ahmed?
I start now the points,
Right, okay.
6 points, and we'll wait from you your feedback of all audience.
Okay,
And I see here also Professor Sami Khatib, and we count on him in West Asia and all North Africa. We need nights to continue. I think yes. Okay. This is a point for discussion together, and in the fifth ASCO GOIS International Webinar, we give 1 hour for discussion. This is 1 hour, or maybe 1 hour and 5 minutes. So your contribution of discussion and formulation of conclusion, this is very important. To formulate a conclusion is important. Please continue discussion with your colleagues and network and feedback after the webinar. It's not finished by goodbye here. I would suggest that this point for discussion together during the webinar. Please feel free to add or to even change the point if you would like to add another point. I start with, there are tens of published scientific examples of how to reduce the total cost of cancer care without compromising the outcome. It is existed. And it is open the door for an unlimited number of things. We presented some tens of these in this presentation. This outline for the 4th and 5th webinar, all coming, as we said, from published by many authors. The second thing is webinar will be September. The question is, why all these published approaches not highlighted and not taking important parts of conferences of cancer societies and organizations, professional cancer education, and as topics in journals? Is it omitted intentionally? If yes, then why? I think that Eduardo Gazab and David Kerr applied this for a large extent. And also after Hussein Khalid and other colleague will reply this. I add to this second point, so we have 2 points by 2 points. The access to the first series webinar and the access to our non-classical evaluation feedback and survey for the certificate of game changer in global oncology. Here is the access for both. The question is, are these tens of examples are not stimulating enough for unlimited number of research, project, topics, or at least important section of cancer journals? It could be original research, short communication, opinion article and report, and a kernel of 150 or 30 word brainstorming, short suggestion, innovative ideas. So it is call for stimulating call for all researchers to publish themselves. There are unlimited ways and approaches to lower the total cost and increase affordability of better value cancer care. And it should be some corners of journals, not just for the stereotypes things, but it's for innovation, for brainstorming, encouraging young people to do. The question is, what we're presenting or other presenting are not stimulating enough to do this? Third question, bearing in mind that we in the Win-Win Scientific Initiative are opposing what we consider as the non-ethical, non-human approaches we dislike professionally as doctors, the suggestion to be satisfied with treating with what you have and the proposed categorization of resource stratified treatment. We contributed in that, on all that, but not satisfied with as a final goal. We contributed for 40 years in that. We are not offending noble intention of all these previous recommendation or initiative. Most of us are involved and even leading such failed international recommendation along the last 40 years. Failed. We stress on that. Is that scientifically feasible to reduce remarkably the total cost care without compromising the outcome via scientific approaches? Yes, yes, yes. Yes, it will need a lot of work and smart focused scientific approaches in the real world. Our job as scientists and doctors is to search for solutions and not to be part of the problem or to complain and to ask others to solve. This is my point, but I respect all points of surely this is with my limited experience. The fourth is that my question here is the gap between what's required and what's available and affordable better value cancer care are in the world is widening. The gap is widening in the last 2 decades and it's published and continue to rise, as Professor Eduardo Gazab pointed that if we look for the year 2030, I agree with him completely that all our points, please, there is a colleague who, please unmute his record, looking for the 2030, all of these plans about this, reducing the cancer mortality and cancer by 30%, it failed, will be failed. With all respect, appreciation to work of all organizations, society and cancer conference, recommendation, committees, hundreds of publications have done, summits, agendas, plans. There are many agendas and many plans. How do you see the rate of success in the crucial issue of reduction this tragic shortage? This is my question now to all of you, starting with Professor Kirosicora. The rate of the gap, this gap, reduced in the last 2 decades, and you hope that this will continue or what? So if it is not reduced and the gap is widened, then it is minus. The gap was this. The gap widened despite the sum of all actions, or it is positive, but very slight, or it is very positive. The gap was reduced. This is the question to you. It is minus, positive, or very positive. All the sum of all action of all organization, all in the last, all of us in the last 2 decades. Professor Kirosicora. Is he there?
There we go. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So very interesting discussion. So I come from the perspective of running cancer networks, and we're just setting up a network in the UK jointly with the UAE, who's providing the capital. And it's all about sustainability, I'm afraid. It's not racism at all, but poorer countries have to have less expensive drugs. And the problem we've got is the pharma industry, who fund NCCN, who fund ASCO, basically don't fund for a reduction of costs in therapy, and they're not interested in the things we're interested in. An example is really the therapeutic plateau. So if you're a poor country, you're operating way beyond what the outcomes you could achieve by spending a bit more money. You don't even have generic drugs. The 30 WHO essential drugs, you don't have those properly, or if you do have them, they're partially available. Sometimes you get them. Even things like ABVD for Hodgkin's lymphoma, you don't get all the 4 drugs at once, even though they're relatively cheap. as you get richer, you spend more money on cancer, you get better outcomes. But inevitably, you get to a plateau. And then at the plateau, you just spend more and more, but you get no therapeutic gain. I would say there are three groups of countries: those operating below the plateau, which are most of the LICMs, LIMCs, countries of lower wealth. The second group are countries like European countries that are operating pretty close to the plateau. There's inequality in access to that plateau, but on the whole, they're pretty close to it. And then there's the US, which consumes nearly 80% of all cancer drugs, and that's operating well beyond the plateau. Fifth-line therapy for squamous cell cancer of the lung and so on, way beyond anything that could be deemed reasonable from a jury of reasonable doctors looking at it. And yet it's encouraged, and you're shown that model globally. People are flown to ASCO by drug companies specifically to let them see what is normal in that part of the world. So that's the problem we've got. Sustainability involves having set protocols compared to the wealth of the country. Essential drugs have to have priority. It's the WHO essentialist. I think it's a good idea to involve the WHO. They don't really have much of a cancer-based knowledge now. That's the problem. They've sort of abandoned cancer into a whole scheme of non-communicable diseases. But I think pushing for sustainable protocolized therapies, not forgetting radiotherapy, which is pretty important and pretty valuable, because again, the baseline machines are pretty cheap. A fancy MRI LINAC costs over $8 million. So that's not necessarily the first priority. So it's all back to prioritizing, trying to get up as close as possible to the therapeutic plateau, but not overspending on it. So I think that's what I would like to see us achieve. And as a group, we're a pretty powerful group. And David and Eduardo and you, Ahmed, really are a pretty powerful group. People listen to us. I remember just one example before I finish. I remember being in the Gambia and I met the president. He wanted to have a breast cancer. Well, if anybody looks at the epidemiology, breast cancer is not a big problem in the Gambia. Hepatoma is, because of hepatitis in children. And then 20 years later, they get hepatoma. And so the WHO recommended they did a hepatitis vaccination program at $2 a child at the time of conventional vaccination. It was turned down in favor of the breast cancer center, which really didn't add any value because there wasn't the expertise anyway in the country to deal with it. The rich people all just went to London to get treatment in Harley Street. So it was really a wasteful project. The hepatitis would have been a better intervention by any health economic analysis. So that's the thing. It's sustainable healthcare adapted to the system in the country. It doesn't just apply to cancer. It applies to cardiac care. It applies to childhood illnesses. It applies to vaccination programs. You know, it's a matter of tailoring things to different countries and including what you call the financial toxicity. I love that word, Ahmed, the financial toxicity of any intervention. It really is a crazy world where new cancer treatments are sold for $20,000 a month. So that's the price at the moment for most of newly registered FDA approvals. $20,000 is beyond even the US's potential for all the people. There's got to be inequity and distribution of those. And you look at the survival curves and they don't look that much different from the much cheaper drugs. So the first priority has got to be get the cheaper drug protocolized in full availability in LMICs, and then worry about how you can do clinical trials and get more and more drugs. That would be my thought. But I think it's a fantastic idea what you're doing. I don't know how we can get more. I mean, I see there's 23 participants now. I don't know how we can make it more a greater interest to everybody.
Thank you, Carol. And two points. I count on you and your leadership also in the upcoming series start in September. ASCO GOIS focused on radiation oncology, molecular radiotherapy with immunotherapy. And with all of you, the program is already present. We have the agenda, we have approval from ASCO, we have the evaluation form, but what is needed is your leadership together and your spreading all. What you mentioned, Carol, is very, very important. But we call that you ask your younger staff, your staff, to publish even in this direction and to lead. This is their initiative. Otherwise, we'll be singing alone. So I'm not at all imposing my name to be in a paper or something, but they take this discussion, your message, the message of Professor Eduardo Gaza, Professor David Kerr, and all what we publish together and what we present together, to publish from it and to add to it, even to criticize, no problem. This is the way that it be a good part in journals, in conference, in all, by more colleagues from everywhere. I ask you to lead this, and this part of initiative with WHO and radiotherapy. I count on you in many things. Come now to...
Can I make a quick comment, Ahmed, very quick?
Please do.
I think that we need to be practical. If we analyze today the world population, about 8 billion, with only 3 or 4 countries, China, India, Brazil, and perhaps Russia, you have 50% of the cancer world population. And there are things that are really going positive in this direction. India is working now with the cancer grid that is doing a very good job. China is starting with the integrative medicine movement, combining, traditional Chinese medicine with Occidental medicine in a very positive way. And Brazil is doing, for example, their own medicines, providing the market of Brazil with drugs that are really developed and produced in Brazil. So I think that in order to be practical, we need to have a focus in large countries, not more than 10, that they include perhaps 70% of the global cancer population, and actions at that level, I think, will have an enormous impact over the really global, because this is not only Occident. We need to be also open to the Oriental countries that are also part of the problem. Thank you.
It's very important notice, really. And please lead this in Latin America and in other parts. You are all the past president of UICC, and Professor David Kerr have even a position in China, and he was...
yes, I know.
Yes, and he was even rewarded by the president of China, and have a post in a known university in China. And in Korea also.
Yes, we are working very well with the CACA, the Chinese Anti-Cancer Association, and they are very strong and doing a fantastic job.
So please include them and be leaders in that. So we are just initiator. We don't pretend that we lead everything, but we just initiator. So if you can push in this direction, Professor David Kerr and you and all, then it would be wonderful.
I think that we should include at least one representative from India in the group and one representative from China. I think that would be very helpful.
You are a co-leader and co-founder. Please invite. This is yours.
Okay, fantastic. I will invite the India Cancer Grid and the China Anti-Cancer Association to send a representative to our group. Okay.
Please invite, and I'll follow you. I'm just follow you. Okay. The second question is recognizing the high importance of cancer screening, and I pose this question for both Giano and Rose. Recognizing the high importance of cancer screening, awareness, and early detection, but they will be very frustrating, challenging, and painful to both patients and doctor if there is no affordable, accessible, nearby treatment for the detected or diagnosed patients. You agree or not agree with this? Giano, please. If you are... Giano, if you are still there, then please, Rose. Gian, you can unmute your Gianpaolo. If you can unmute your mic and kindly tell us your opinion about this point. Also, I ask Rose to unmute her mic. Rose, she is very important leader here because of aortic and many international activity. Unmute. Try to unmute your mic, please.
Yeah. Can you hear me? I can't get my video. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah, please, what's the question again?
Okay. Recognizing the high importance of cancer screening, awareness, early detection, but they will be very frustrating, challenging, and painful to both patients and doctors and to us if there is no affordable, accessible, nearby treatment for the detected or diagnosed patient. You agree or not agree?
I agree, because what is happening now in my country, Nigeria, there are a lot of people going for screening, and then at the end of the day, after they've been screened, nothing is done. They don't follow them up, and I keep on telling them that it's criminal to screen a patient, to screen a client, a woman, for say cervical cancer, and then you don't do anything. Cervical cancer screening should be followed by, treatment if it's positive, and then follow up. You don't just screen them, because it's even worse when you screen and you don't treat. It's better for you not to screen, because they don't know, they don't get worried about what is happening inside them. But when you screen them and you tell them that you screen positive and you do nothing about it, it's really, really bad. Then the other thing is, apart from they get screened, but access to healthcare, the care for the treatment, this is where we actually need to do a lot of work. Then the other thing, we also have screening. The awareness is also very, very low. People don't know. Like in many African countries, people don't even know. There's no word for cancer in some languages in Africa, and you really have to explain to them what cancer is and why you need to be screened. So we have a lot of work to do, but I'm happy that right now a lot of people are getting into cervical into cancer care, and I'm very hopeful that maybe in the next 10 years or so we see a lot of change, because I started this business of getting interested in cancer about 20 years ago, and within these 20 years I've seen a lot of change. There's been increase in awareness. People are talking about cancer now more than they did 10, 20 years ago. And I hope, and I'm sure that maybe in the next 10 years we'll be in a better situation. And some governments have actually also shown some political will and commitment to cancer. So there's hope. Let me put it that way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm more than pleased that we have with my sister Rose the same wavelengths and we have the same notions. And we count on you in your leadership role in Africa and everywhere to raise the flag that it's frustrated to us as doctors and for patients if we ask for detection without having nearby treatment good of value with dignity, not with ruining their what they have of economy or what they're saving to them. So I agree with you completely. There is much effort to do. Uh, uh, Gian, Paulo, if you are there. Okay, we pass the next question. This will be for Professor Sami Khatib. My brother Sami is, in addition that he is co-leader of this initiative, he is one of the main the leader of AMAC and this in West Africa and North Africa, and he can himself introduce AMAC. In addition that he is co-leader of this and we count on him. The question is, Dr. Sami, are you there?
Yes.
Yes, okay. The question is, in addition to classical professional education oncology program and curriculum in certificates and degrees, there is a need for professional global education program like this one, GOIS, focused exclusively on how to increase affordability of better value cancer care via scientific approaches and studies, and not just conference. Okay, the question is, what do you think? And please feel free to add any point you like. Dr. Sami, my brother, please.
Thank you, Dr. Al-Zawawi, for inviting me to be with you in this excellent meetings. And at the same time, I would like to thank all our colleagues from all parts that they said a lot and excellent comments, mainly Eduardo, the idea to add some representatives from India and Brazil for their new excellent jobs in the complementary medicine in cancer, which is proved now that should be included in the guidelines. And one of the main ways to reduce the cost and the financial toxicity of the medication of cancer. Just a small comment about the previous question. Screening now, Dr. Al-Zawawi, they are deleting it almost from many countries. They started it doing screening for all people, then they did it for a high risky people, and now they are limiting it less and less. But yes, awareness is very, very, very important, because when the people is aware about cancer, about the process, how they develop cancer, what is the main causes of cancer. This is very important that to encourage people when they feel any sign of cancer, even you, all of us, we know that there is no specific sign or syndrome for any cancer. So they can ask their doctor to exclude that he is affected by cancer. So awareness is very important in this aspect. The third point was, I think, the early detection. Yes, the early detection is very important to start with it, because all of us, we know that when cancer is detected earlier, the percentage of the cure of the cancer is much more and much better than if it is in advanced stages. And now, regarding your question about the global oncology education programs, yes, we should have skilled programs, and we should consider mainly the cost of these programs. There is some good programs, but it is very costly. I know that you are against mainly the conferences because just is spending and losing money there when we can do excellent programs and excellent workshops. In AMAC, which is the Arab Medical Association Against Cancer, including 19 Arab countries, the umbrella of the oncology societies in these countries, we do now a lot of workshops beside the conference. In the conference, just we give some topics, some update, but we stress much more in the workshops, mainly for the junior oncologists, because we know that this kind of people that they will lead in the future the field of oncology. We should have very skilled programs and education. We should do it if it is not as free with a very low cost for these people, because as you know, the interested people in these programs are going to be the junior persons that they don't have a lot of money to pay. And we should start encouraging the pharma companies to support these people, because all of us, we know that now they are supporting the people that they are writing their medication for the patient. So, which is, this is the main cause and the main problems that we have in the reduction of the use of medication to reduce the cost. The pharma companies are investing much more money just to convince us as a senior and consultant oncologist to use their medication and to write the prescription and to forget any other things. We should have into consideration one note, which is very important. When they are inventing any medication, biological, targeted, immunotherapy, almost never they use it alone as a sole medication. Always they are using the basic and the very basic medications that we are using since 60 years ago, like adriamycin, like cisplatin. So the improvement of this treatment will be much higher than using the targeted therapy or the biological alone. So this is telling us that the main medication improving the patient is the old one and not the new one. Maybe the new one improves some things, but the cost of this new medication is very high, and they limit a budget of many Ministry of Health, mainly in our area, because as we know, we are not a rich people here in the area, and we should stress more and more in re-evaluation of the guidelines to be adopted to our region and to start using it, reducing the doses, reducing the quantity of medication that we are using for in each protocol. And we are in this case preserving the patient, much less side effects, and we are saving a lot of money. Dr.
Thank you very
Zawawi?
much. Thank you very much. And please, as you are co-leader of this initiative and you are leader of NAMAC, please consider this GOIS program. And even I would like to see as part of AMAC programs, it is yours. Will cost you nothing. And also, we would like to see many colleagues from AMAC applied, particularly the junior and mid-career, applied for the certificate of game changer in oncology, in clinical and global oncology as a start. I will issue a certificate in September, but I will send you the evaluation form and survey, and they are completely free to express their views. They are partners. They are even the owner, a bit more than us, the younger generations. So please consider this program will cost you nothing as part of AMAC, and co-lead it also. I can count on you on this.
Yeah, of course. And we started it.
Okay.
Sending all the information that I'm receiving from your part to all our members and encouraging them to register and to do all this courses and this education. Mainly, it's education for them, and from the other
Yeah.
side, they got a certificate that will be a benefit for them for their career.
And please free to add the logo of AMAC and everything. Please do. I'll follow. Please do. You are authorized. You are co-leaders, and so please do. Next,
Of course.
thank you very
Of
much.
course.
Thank you
Of course.
very much. Going
Thank you.
forward.
Thank you, Dr. Zawawi.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question. We stressed on the need to repair the health system and remuneration and good living of cancer doctors and cancer doctors and professional caregivers in different communities. Do you think that without repairing the system, without a good remuneration of professional cancer care and doctors, oncologists, it is possible to repair the known many forms of corruption and to reduce the abuse and waste, as there are incentives even in West and interest in the there are incentive and interest in the real world at present. So would you think that it is possible without working hard together to call for repair the system and for the elimination of doctors or something like that system of pay elect? Pay elect is to pay according to the act of medical intervention, whatever is it. You prescribe something or prescribe number of session of radiotherapy or something, regardless of this. Do you think that it's possible? I pose the question to two of our dear colleagues, to Professor Luca Incrucci. He is co-director of this program and co-leader, and we count on him a lot in the upcoming series of radiotherapy. He is one of the renowned addiction oncology in Europe and in many parts of the world, and he is co-leader and co-founder of this initiative. Luca, please unmute your mic. Are you there? Luca is, he went, I think. So I ask this question again to please to Gianpaolo, is if he's there, and to Furkan. Furkan, are you there? Please unmute your computer, your connection. It is mute now. I received now from Nada Osha. We don't know about the program. Please send to us. Please send me email and you receive all what you like. Everything is accessible to all. Please send me Dr. Nada. Please send it to my email, and I'll send your emails and I'll send you everything. And the website and everything. Also, there is a note from Sheila. Yes. Gianpaolo sent us, sorry, but I have technical problem with audio. No problem, and you receive the full records, and we'll wait your all your comments and contribution. So for Doctor, what's the name here? Dr. Amgara Magdalena. Are you there? Please unmute the computer.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, please introduce yourself first and welcome. Okay.
Thank you so much. This is number 3 for me today. So I'm Dagmara Magdalena Poprowski. I've trained and worked in Australia, both in Adelaide, capital city of South Australia, but also in regional hospitals and country hospitals. And I introduced virtual medicine in Australia in 2013 to take place, so I could see these patients. And then I moved to Riyadh, and then early this year I moved on over to Bermuda. So I see your number 5 point about repairing health systems and remuneration. Well, I can tell you that most countries have not seen an increase in funding for remuneration of doctors or nurses in cancer care for about 8 years, and that's around the world. So do I think it's possible? Of course it's possible if governments want it, but I think we need advocacy for this.
Yes, I agree with you. And what if we think that if we save some of the waste spent in for cancer care, waste not useful for patient, in increasing the good living of doctors, not to take commission and percentage and all these things. Other things that we should raise the flag together, that for the care of cancer caregiver, which is essential. If we think about cancer care, about care for patients, care for about their problems, it is important. But how we expect a good care from the cancer caregiver if they didn't receive a good care, remuneration, good living, career, education, all these things. So we should raise the flag and should be maybe to raise the red light, because it becomes there are, we see many problems in the world, and not only developing country, even in rich country. Other thing that in your position, I would like that you lead advocacy and leadership in your area and everywhere with your network. And if you have a program of professional virtual education, please include our program. Add to it. It is we don't say that it's perfect or complete. Add to it. But it's the first program in the world that focus only increase affordability of better value cancer care via scientific approaches. And there are many scientific approaches. We can't count all. So can I count on you in leading that in Australia and everything, in all parts of the world?
It's not just Australia. We have reconnected through the Harvard School course at 5 years from starting the postgraduate studies, with 142 of us from around the world, which I did during the COVID time, virtually completely. So I can certainly be pushing this issue forward around the continents.
And with your name, please invite. I'll follow you. You are consider yourself as co-leaders. Invite your name and position, everything. Send me your email today. I'll send you links to the first series of 5 these webinars and other webinars also, and for how to apply for certificate of game changer in global oncology. And you will revise yourself the replies, and I give you a password to the to the administration and everything. Welcome,
Thank you
welcome,
so
welcome.
much.
Okay, thank you. Next question.
Sorry.
There is a note here regarding the publication and dissemination of reports of our 5 ASCO international webinar. Then for the first webinar, repurposing, the main work was done and edited by Dr. Claire Thibodeau and sent to you before. I can send you again. This is about repurposing. I hope that we discuss this point. I hope that it would be with contribution of all of you and all who contributed to publish the reports of these 5 webinars, to add to it, to criticize, to feel free. Every one of you has the right to be first author and with his staff and with his colleagues to write something about it. This is very important to spread these reports as stimulating points, not as perfect, complete things. Next point. Finally, please feel free. You recommend, and this is frankly, do you recommend going forward to spread more the message for game changing via science, particularly among the mid-career and younger colleagues? Or do you recommend that we stop as there's no hope and this is difficult and negative, and to make any real positive point as described by some expert, not realistic despite of what we are doing sometimes, not realistic despite of the many already existed approaches, publication evidence, or as described by distinguished expert, what you are doing is not attractive, or as described by other experts. We respect all these colleagues, surely, but they advise us. All what we are doing is virtual and accessible to all. We have no, but it's usual in conference and meetings. There's, but you have no air ticket, no hotel accommodation, no gala dinners, no conference, no shopping in Chicago or something, or London, no presentation supported on paid by companies or even written by them. Some of presentation in conference, we know, even low-middle income countries, are written by the pharmaceutical company. You imagine it. We know all this by them, as in many low-middle income countries. What do you think? We continue together, or it is to be desperate and stop? I pose this question to Furkan, if he's there. He sent to me now. I don't know why my mic is not working. I'm sorry, but I want to add a short words on 5th points. Without fair pay and decent work condition for cancer doctors and caregiver, we can't expect to fix corruption or to stop waste. I agree completely with you, Furkan, and please write in your Onco Daily on this about these points. When health system we are broken, abuse become part of the system. Yes, whatever we say, whatever we advise, abuse will be part of the system. Real change start with valuing the people who hold it all together. Thank you, Furkan, and please, in your Onco Daily, as you are editor, please advocate for this. We have two interventions from Professor Hussein Khalid and from also from Jack. But and we let this question for to think about it for Professor David Kerr and Professor Kiro Sikora. I'll present now the communication that's sent by Professor Hussein Khalid. By the way, I have only reserve on the on his communication. that he said, Professor Zawawi, Ahmed Zawawi, this is not my initiative. I didn't invent anything. This is with your leadership, all of you. And without contribution of and recruitment of more colleagues to lead and raise the flag, will have no value. So I didn't invent anything. Always references.
Before starting my comments, I would like to thank Professor Ahmed Zawawi for his courage, enthusiasm, and relentless efforts to find solutions to the challenges facing most countries, especially low and middle income countries, in dealing with cancer control, including the inappropriate rush to apply expensive new drugs and agents and techniques under the pressure of the pharma industry. The main reason behind this serious challenge, in my opinion, is the fact that the healthcare professional providers and the industry are preferring their personal over the public general benefit. Now, are we going in the right direction to achieve the WHO and United Nations goals of reducing mortalities of non-communicable diseases, including cancer, by 30% in the year 2030? The answer is clearly no. On the contrary, the time trend increase of the cost of drugs was unexplained as it rose globally from 148 billion US dollars in the year 2019 to 255 billion US dollars in 24, and is expected to rise to 409 billion dollars in the year 2028. So why the new initiatives like that provided by Professor Zawawi are not part of the different cancer meetings, oncology education, cancer societies, and organizations? The answer is very simple, and I mentioned it at the beginning. It is the bias of preferring personal over public benefit. In addition, and added to this, we have to properly tackle the issue of cancer awareness and early detection, as it will be very frustrating to both patients and health care facilities and providers if there are no comparable, affordable, and accessible nearby treatment facilities for the detected and diagnosed patients. At the end, and I wish you a very fruitful discussion, I thank you all, especially Professor Zawawi, for this important event, with my best wishes, and I hope to get more benefit of treating our patients by the new initiatives.
Thank you very much. Professor Hussein Khalid, as we know, is one of the co-founder of this initiative during the preliminary meeting in ASCO, and he is a former Minister of Higher Education in Egypt, Vice Chancellor was Vice Chancellor of University of Cairo and Director of National Institute, and a former board member of UICC, and many other points. So his contribution is very important, and I am glad that we have the same wavelengths in our initiatives, not my initiatives, our initiatives together. I am glad to present 2 slides sent by Jack. Jack Bizidwinhout, I hope that I pronounce his name well. He is in Belgium, and he is also originally from South Africa. And Professor David Kerr sent to me his question. He asked to join the win-win and to ask the guys, and surely he is welcome. And why it make me happy more that he is represents the mid-career generation. I am old man. I am going, but so and we count on this middle aged who are consultant, residents, postgraduates, and all to contribute to lead the movement. He sense that there is the need to optimize health system to improve access to cancer care, to improve access to quality oncology care. There is a need to optimize health system to deliver this care. Cancer drug wasting is one of the issues that need to be addressed. Effect of is significant and increasing cancer treatment cost by 21.8 on average annually. This is a percentage cost to society, preventable cost to society. He also added that various meditation methods to reduce wastage exist, including dose rounding, vial sharing. However, no clear evidence about the best combination of methods to use, nor how strategies should vary based on value, income level of country, clinic size. So it is. I would reply here to Jack. This is why there is a need of work, a lot of work in such directions. And this should be our future direction. Furthermore, studies included in the thematic review were done in high-income countries. Research is urgently needed to identify the optimal mitigation methods adapted to society to specific health system scenarios. Thank you very much, Jack. We count on you in writing the reports also, because you are rapporteur of with ABBA with the previous webinars, and we count on you on and I am with you to help and to I'm at your disposal all to have a report that will be revised by all the contributors and hopefully will be based off scientific publication. This will be with the closing remarks of Professor David Kerr, Professor this point 6 with Professor Sikora, and also if any of of you would like to add something, and I really thanks Chella for her comment, and please be always with us. The question was, do you recommend going forward to spread more the message or for game changing via I'm sorry. Okay. This I continue, sorry. Do you recommend going forward to spread more the message for game-changing via science, particularly among the mid-career and younger colleagues? Furkan sent to us, yes. And please do. Please go forward. Please, Furkan. Or do you recommend that we stop as there is no hope to make any real positive points as described by some experts? What do you think? Professor David Kerr, please on this comment on this, and also I will wait for Professor Sikora. And please also Professor David Kerr and give us future directions after this. Professor David?
Well, I
Keep it.
can finish up now. Thanks, Ahmed. I think we could take the slide down so that we can all see each other, if that's okay. Again, congratulations on bringing the seminar together, the webinar. Thanks again for ASCO for their support from the from Doug Pyle and his excellent colleagues in the International Affairs Committee for giving us this opportunity to do this under the banner of ASCO. I think, as Ahmed has said, the association with professional societies is an important one. For me, I think there are, the answer to the question is yes, obviously. We're not going to surrender or submit or give up or yield. No, we're still strong of faith and strong of heart and mind and body, so we soldier on. I accept Ahmed's point that we need to be rejuvenated with the next generation of mid-career oncologists, public health doctors, those interested in cancer control. So we need to widen the leadership group, if we could call ourselves that, from us rather senior statesmen to the thrusting, ambitious generation coming through. And also for me to be able to say that you can build a career built around global oncology. It needn't all be publications in Nature and the Lancet and so on. There are other ways that we can use our skill set to influence and to do good. I think that we do need to think about some concrete actions. I agree with that. I'm sure Carol will come up with some also. That one of the points that Ahmed raised in his question too was about, can we find a corner of journals in which we might be able to report the evidence base for cost-saving interventions, wherever they are in terms of cancer control? I think the answer to that's got to be yes. I used to be editor-in-chief of Annals of Oncology, and if we look now, Annals has now surpassed the Journal of Clinical Oncology and Lancet Oncology, building on successive fantastic editors-in-chief to get the journal to where it is. And the problem is that the leading journals, perhaps apart from Lancet Oncology, are utterly focused on impact factor and citation index, and it's really hard to get in there unless you have some very novel clinical scientific statements to make. But the other journal that we started against under the banner of ASCO is the Journal of Global Oncology, and I think Catherine Van Loon, who's the new editor-in-chief, would be sympathetic to us making a call for regular reviews or a space in which we have the opportunity to report new emerging evidence as to how we can provide cost-effective therapeutic interventions. So I think that would be one. I think the promulgation of the idea, the concept, how we work together and so on. And again, I'm interested in Carol's viewpoint. I just wonder if WHO, because WHO have taken on the essential medicines work, and as Carol has said, even those essential medicines are barely accessible to the majority of the world's population, whether they would try to counterbalance that by allowing us to have a small committee or subcommittee or parallel group that would make the sort of recommendations that we've discussed today that are evidence-based, but that would be endorsed and therefore in a way validated by them, so that when our colleagues go to the Minister of Health seeking resources for a sort of minimal therapeutic intervention, they can refer back to an authoritative source of information. I think would be one other thing that we should consider. And I think in terms of the societies, Ahmed, I think instead of reaching out to the guideline committees and so on, which has been a bit of a dead loss so far, perhaps we should be speaking to the community of young oncologists. Certainly, ESMO has been very successful at running a young oncologists forum. I imagine that ESTRA and ASCO do something similar. And maybe that's the audience that we should be speaking to, laying the groundwork for future generations to improving the work that you have led on to build the evidence base as has been suggested, but perhaps reaching out there is something else that we can do. Yes, the final thing would just be Eduardo's idea. Carol's also of us having this sort of high-level group that would be prepared to work together internationally, representing different regions, different nations. But one would hope with senior, hopefully influential oncologist public health specialists that could lobby on behalf of the wider community of cancer control experts. And putting that together, as Eduardo suggested, I think is a good idea. So those are my comments in a way, closing remarks from me, Ahmed. But let me hand the floor over to yourself and to Carol.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much, Chair David Kerr. So now for Carol Sikora, Professor Carol Sikora. Unmute your mic. He's here. He left. Okay, he left earlier, so no problem. So we count on this. Now we have 2-3 minutes. I thank you all. I thank Sheila for her comment. I thank you, all of you. And I count on all of you, particularly from different parts of the world, to we'll send you this record. It is not just a meeting in a conference and goodbye, but it is recorded, and then open discussion for it. And we have evaluation form. We have everything. You send freely your suggestion, even your critics. If you have want like change something, please. I would like, and I hope, because of your efforts, because of you, that this message arrive to hundreds and hundreds, and not only the audience, live audience. So I thank you all, and please, this is just start together. Send your comment, your feedback, and everything. And going forward, hand in hand, I thank ASCO. I thank you all. Thank Jessica, who was with us almost most of the time. And till the next communication together, maybe tomorrow, I send you the record, the full record of the decision. Please spread it to all. This is yours. It's between your hands. Invite people to join. This is, you are authorized to do this, and I'll follow. I just follow. Thank you, and bye-bye.